Alright, time for another long overdue Lacuna Passage video devlog. And today I just kind of wanted to go over a few tools that we're using in Unity to help our team um, and to accomplish some of the tasks that we have ahead of us for Lacuna Passage. The first of those is our asset previewer. This was something that I realized pretty early on that with a remote team, remote development team, and not enough copies of Unity Pro, that we'd have to have a way for the team to visualize their assets as they would appear in the game, but with the free version of Unity. So, and without affecting the project folder of the actual project. So we created a separate project folder specifically for the asset preview purposes, and this is kind of what we came up with. So we've got a pretty standard checker background, just to preview them on a easy to view background, and we've got a lighting setup that's your standard blue and orange kind of Hollywood style lighting effects. And we've got all of our shaders that we're currently using. So all of our shaders that are in the main project folder are available to our 3D modelers and artists, and so they can preview rather than using like a previewer like Marmoset or Dedo or any of those previewing programs. They can just use Unity directly. So they bring in their model and then they start texturing, and the textures auto update from their Photoshop files or whatever they're creating their textures in, and they're able to see exactly how their assets will look in the final game in this small little Unity project. And you can go into play mode here as well, and you'll have a first person view so you can see and make sure that everything's to the correct scale as well. So that was kind of important to us to make sure that it looks and fits in with the rest of the assets, so you can compare the scale, and you can see we can actually change the background. So we get, if they want a dark background to preview bright objects on, or a bright background to preview dark objects on, they can do that. And we can actually rotate the lighting as well, so we can kind of get a nice feel for how the normal maps work. And yeah, so that kind of gives you a little idea there. And I can show you a couple other objects we've been working on. The rover, obviously, you've all seen from our Kickstarter stuff. One thing we've been working on, or I've been working on lately, is doing some transparent shaders for the food packets, for this one in particular. You got some green beans there, yum yum. And then we've got the foily packets like that you would see traditionally as well for astronaut food, the shiny foil metal vacuum sealed packages. So that's one thing we've been doing, and we'll start to put together a new video that kind of shows off some of the survival stuff, hopefully in the next month or so. What else we have? We have a new solar panel, and that looks pretty cool. And actually, another cool feature that we've added in here is a way to, while we're working on these, one of the things we need to do is be able to communicate and show our progress on the assets as we're working on them in the previewer. So we've actually utilized a plugin called MegaGrab. It's on the asset store. It's also part of the Megafires package, the shape deformation package, but this specifically is a screenshot asset script that lets you take high resolution screenshots of your assets. And so if I hit X here, you'll see in the console below it's saved a JPEG. So if I exit out of play mode and I go to our screenshots folder and refresh it here, we get this high-res screen grab of that that I just was looking at in the previewer. And you can see it's about double the size of the preview window here in Unity. So the resolution of your window is dependent when it generates the higher res image, and it has anti-aliasing and everything. It looks a lot better than it does in the game. So we use those for sharing on our private team boards for showing progress. But yeah, it looks really nice. This is a really great way to get a feel for how it's going to look in the game. What else? I think that's pretty much it for the asset previewer. We've got some scale objects of 1 meter cube, so you can see exactly what 1 meter cube is. And I think that's about it. The other piece that I did want to show you guys real quick too was something we've been doing. One of the reasons why we haven't actually had a whole lot to show lately is because we've been working on a lot of stuff in the background that we can't really show easily. So I wanted to show you some of our dynamic audio stuff that we've been doing. And what this is a simple system for us to essentially show off, or to have a gating system for triggering new audio loops for dynamic audio and dynamic soundtrack. So you can see we've got start gates. So that one's start gate 6, and then we've got stop gates. And you can kind of intuit what those are. Basically, if you walk through a start gate, which normally these would be transparent in the game, we can set them up wherever we want. The start gate will start a loop of music, or a new loop of music. The stop gates will stop them. And there's a bunch of different things you can do to set up how those work exactly. But first, actually, one of the things that's even more important is this larger box around all of our gates. This is our music area. So we actually use the resources loading function in Unity to load stuff at runtime. So we use the resource loading to do stuff with managing our sound files so that we don't have a massive number of files being loaded right when you start the game. So it only loads in the music relevant to the location you're at. So in this case, when we walk into the area, it loads the music, and when we walk out of the area, it makes sure that the music has stopped playing, and then it'll unload all those music files. So I can demonstrate real quick here. If I walk into this music area, you'll see it's entered music area. So now all of our sounds are loaded, and we have 2 audio source components on the right hand side. You'll see in the inspector over there. The 2 audio source components are for fading between the currently playing loop and the queued up loop. So first we'll walk through the start gate 4, and it automatically starts playing the intro. So it says entered start gate 4, playing intro from start gate 4. The intro is a option on that start gate that we can select in the inspector, and it just is a single file that gets played once without looping. So you'll see right after this. So now it's playing delayed loop from start gate 4. So now it has a loop. So this loop will continue to play until we go through another start gate or we go through a stop gate. So I'm going to stop it right there. So if we go to start gate 4 here, you'll see it says use intro, and it's using just some random files that we created for the testing purposes. The intro is habitat_m, and then the loop is lab_m. So it was taking that first intro loop and only playing it once, and then switching to the loop and fading dynamically between them after the loop is ended. And these can be loops of any size, so any length. So you can have non-uniform loops, one that's like a minute long if you want it to be like a really long kind of song piece, or you can have shorter ambient pieces, and they'll fade into each other dynamically. So another thing is our stop gates. So there's a couple different options for a stop gate. You can have an outro, which would just play one final loop, and I think this one over here is an outro. So stop gate 1, it'll play through all of intro from start gate 4, and it won't start the outro until after one loop has been completed. So the intro doesn't count as a loop, so you'll hear it goes straight to the loop from start gate 4, playing delayed loop from start gate 4. And now since I've I've already gone through stop gate 1. As soon as this loop is over, it should start playing the outro. The other method for a stop gate would be to fade out, so it'll just keep repeating the same loop over and over and over, fading out over a long period of time. Oh, actually I was mistaken. That's exactly what that just did. It just faded out that loop over time. So it took about 20 or 30 seconds to do that, and then it says stop all music. Let's see if this one over here has an outro. Actually, I can change it so it does. Use outro, yes, and we want it to do greenhouse. And now if we go back in here to stop gate, which one was it? Stop gate 2. So if we walk over here, even though there's no music currently playing, you can use a stop gate as like a single track play start gate essentially, so it'll play just the outro here. There we go. So it'll play all the way through the outro, and then it'll stop all music, just like the other stop gate did when it faded out. And now if I walk outside of this music area, you'll see it'll say exited music area, but it still hasn't unloaded the music because it's not done playing yet. So as soon as the outro is done playing, it'll unload all the music here, and it takes a little bit for it to finish, but I'll wait for it. And if it works all correctly, it should say, yep, stopped all music post outro. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if there'd be much interest in a system like this being up on the asset store or something, because it's really dead simple. There's not a whole lot else to it other than the features I've shown here, intros, loops, and outros. There's not a ton of options. You can adjust the fade time between an intro, and the previous loop, so that it's called the trans fade over here. So the amount of time that it'll fade from the currently playing loop to the queued up loop, and it'll do that so that there's no pop or stutter between the two swapping of audio clips. But yeah, that's essentially how we plan to do a lot of the music in the game, and it might not be super complex, but it fits our needs pretty much exactly what we want. Just to be able to kind of have locations dictate the feel and mood of the soundtrack. So as you progress through a landscape or through the habitat and discovering new pieces, we're also planning to set up like triggers for when you pick up an object or inspect an object or come across something that would be important to change the soundtrack. So little stuff like that, but it works pretty well for what we want, and we're pretty happy with it. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this devlog. That's pretty much all I wanted to share with you today, and just kind of get you some updates on some stuff we've been working on for the last several weeks. And yeah, hope you keep following us on Twitter and Facebook, randomseedgames.com. Lots of information there. Don't forget to check out the forums as well. There's lots of great questions going on there and discussions about what we're working on. Yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks.